country, we will consider diversity management as a means of reinforcing equality and inclusiveness within the workplace. Now, Barbados' economy is small, it is open, and it's vulnerable. Since 2008, we have faced certain fiscal challenges that have had negative impacts on the livelihood of many persons, and has impacted their standard of living. But according to statistics from the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, women have been more severely impacted than men, and this, amongst other things, has resulted in underemployment and the devalorization of work by women, the rendering of women to menial jobs, to jobs in the service industry, cleaning and washing, and so on and so forth. And this bill, Mr. President, ensures that in a modern Barbados workplace, everyone, including women, are paid their value and their worth based on their qualifications. Mr. President, the state has a moral and social responsibility to amend past wrongs done to specified disadvantaged groups in society. And in the case of this particular piece of legislation, we are trying to reconceptualize some of the norms that guide our society to provide what could be described as a more level playing field for women, Mr. President. Simply put, that's what we're trying to do. Create that level of parity, that fairness, that inclusiveness for our female counterparts in this country. That there would never be a case of that level of discrimination that we would have seen in the past. Now, I will briefly touch on discrimination based on disabilities, because that is another one that I think that needs a champion in this country. According to the ILO, there are approximately 470 million persons worldwide of working age that have a disability. While many are successfully employed and are able to integrate into society, as a group, persons with disabilities often face disproportionate poverty and unemployment. And in Barbados, there has been a timid approach by organizations in relation to employing persons with disabilities. And this is unfortunate because we know that persons with disabilities are some of the most vulnerable persons in Barbados or in our society, and due consideration must be given to ensure inclusivity as it relates to such persons. Internationally, workplaces are realizing the many advantages of hiring and promoting persons with disabilities and creating inclusive workplaces. And this is because disabled people not only have a valuable contribution to make to the national economy, but their employment also reduces the strain on the national purse, on disability benefits and such like. But what this bill does, more important than anything else, is that those persons who are currently employed, those disabled persons who are currently employed, but who are facing discrimination, under this particular bill, they have some form of recourse. As mentioned by the Honorable Senator when she led off the bill, employees now have to take deliberate steps where feasible to address the particular workplace needs that any worker with a disability might face. And that brings me to clause 7, I believe it is, where it speaks to the various steps that one might take as an employer, the various adjustments that can be made to accommodate persons with disability. I would not mention all. Some were mentioned by the Honorable Senator when she led off the bill, but I would identify just a few. It includes assigning the employee to a different place of work, acquiring or modifying equipment for the use of the employee. You may even make some adjustments to the premises in terms of installing ramps and what have you, and lifts, so that the person could be accommodated in different spaces. And those are just some. In the interest of time, I'm gonna not mention anymore, but you can see where I'm going with this, where you retrofit the space so that persons can operate within. Mr. President, at the heart of this particular piece of legislation which calls for inclusion of persons with various disabilities is social justice. This act provides legislation that provides protection for persons with disability. And what it also does is that it limits employers from refusing to hire suitably qualified and competent persons with a disability. If a person is suitable for a job, that person cannot be refused employment simply on the grounds that they have a disability. And I believe that is a step in the right direction, where we as a country should be going. So as I conclude, I just want to note that this bill is just a start as we continue working towards a more inclusive and equitable Barbadian society. We must accept that discrimination not only deprives competent employees of a chance to showcase their capabilities, but also restricts their earning potential, which then impacts their standard of living. It is the commitment of this government to enact the necessary legislation to provide the framework to regulate work conditions so that all employees are afforded the opportunity to work in a discrimination-free environment. This transformative piece of legislation allows Barbados